Welcome to the Evolve Beyond Limits podcast. I'm your host, Stacy Geisel. This podcast is dedicated to helping you create a life that sets your soul on fire. I believe that is truly possible for everybody, but you have to be willing to do a few things. You have to be willing to let go of your past conditioning. You have to be willing to break free from societal norms. And you have to be willing to get really curious about your life and how you can start to look at it differently. Each week, we will hear stories from people who have done exactly this. People who chose to disrupt the life path they were on, go against the grain, and share the lessons and perspective shifts they had to make along the way. Every episode is committed to not only inspiring you and connecting you with other amazing humans, but actually giving you the tools you need to use this information in your own life so that you continue to evolve and reconnect with your highest self. Are you ready? Let's have some fun. Welcome back to another episode of the Evolve Beyond Limits podcast. And this week we are talking to Ashley DiBernardo. She is a girl after my own heart. She loves to travel. She loves to explore. She loves the mountains. She loves anything in nature. But the reason that we really brought her on the show is because she has such an inspiring story of being diagnosed with thyroid cancer at a very young age and what it took for her to really start to turn her life around. It was one of the biggest wake-up calls for her because she not only had to start to trust herself in her health decisions, but she had to completely rewrite her story moving forward. So we chat about all of that in this episode, which is why I know that you are going to love it. So let's hop right in. All right, Ashley, I am so excited to have you here on the Evolve Beyond Limits podcast. Thank you for taking the time out of your day. Could not be more grateful for you and being willing to come on and share your story.
Yeah, I'm excited.
It's going to be so fun. So as you know, we start the show out because I want listeners to get to know you a little bit better. So we're just going to start with a couple simple questions.
Okay.
And I'm going to actually love your answers to these. So because I know you've done quite a bit of travel and different things. So first one, super simple. Where are you from, but also where are you living right now?
I'm from Michigan originally, Metro Detroit area, and I'm currently living in Tacoma, Washington.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, Ashley and I actually live probably, 30 minutes from one another, if we were to be at home. But we didn't meet until we were thousands and thousands of miles away, which is so funny. I'm actually in Sedona, Arizona right now. And the same thing happened. Somebody who literally lives in my hometown walked up to me in a crystal shop and was like, I feel like I know you. And I was like, this is so funny. We literally live 5 minutes from each other, but we didn't get to know each other until I know. Life works like that. So funny. So, okay. What is your favorite place? I know you do a lot of traveling. So what has been your favorite place to travel so far?
Oh, that's so hard. Not in the US, Ireland. Ireland was amazing, very beautiful. We did a lot of hiking and drove through the entire country. In the US, probably one of the national parks like Bryce Canyon or Glacier are my favorite so far. So national parks are the best.
I love it. I know I need to get on a mission to visit them all. I haven't been to nearly enough yet. So we'll put that on the list. Okay. Where is someplace that you haven't gone yet that you've been wanting to go?
Oh, my number one's Italy because I'm Italian and my grandparents are from Italy. So I want to go visit where they're actually from.
Oh,
so
my
not
gosh.
touristy Italy.
Yeah, I totally get that. We have a really good friend who is also his grandparents live in off the Mediterranean in the villages of Italy, and we were supposed to go there with them. So hopefully we'll make that happen one day. Okay, what is your favorite book that you have read so far?
Oh, I think because of how much it affected me, I think I have to say Untamed by Glennon Doyle. I read that book at a time when I really needed it, and it like hit me hard. And so I recommend it to like everyone. I'm like, you guys need to read this.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. It's so good. I love that book too. It came to me actually from like two different people, and they were like, "You have to read this. It reminds me of you." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Like, I guess I need to see. And I was like, "Ooh, this is good." So, anybody out there who is not ready yet, get on it. All right. What was one of your favorite things to do as a kid?
I mean, climbing trees and being in the woods always.
Shocking. I know, Ashley.
Shocker.
I love it because you're actually one of the few people that this is so fun because you're one of the few people that have actually like what you used to do as a kid. You still very much are connected to that now. Like you thrive off of that and you make sure that you have time to do those things. So I love that.
Yeah, my biggest thing.
Oh, so good.
I mean, growing up camping up north Michigan, like that's what we did.
That's what we do. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
It's there is nothing. I've been saying this to a lot of people. Like there's nothing like a Michigan summer, especially like up north Michigan it's beautiful. It's something that I think that everybody should experience in some way. It's gorgeous. And it's funny because usually people think Michigan and they go, ooh, like, and I kind of get it like most of the time, but a Michigan summer is glorious. Go over to like the west side.
Fall is hands down my favorite. Yep.
So good. So many good cider and donuts.
Yeah. Nothing like it.
There's nothing like it. Yeah. And I know we've traveled to a few different places and we're like, okay, so where are the cider and donuts like in the fall? And they're like, what? I'm like, oh, that's not a thing everywhere. Okay, well, people, if you are listening, you are not from Michigan, you should travel here in the fall for some cider and donuts. I'm probably really playing this up, which they're going to be like, it's just a donut. It's not.
Well, and Michigan fall is like the most beautiful. You cannot beat it. The colors are like the best.
And I'm going to trust you on that because I feel like you have done a lot of travel, which we're going to get into. This is like the perfect segue. So I have had like this absolute pleasure of bearing witness to like your transformation. And it's been so fun to watch. And I'm so excited that you're willing to share some of this with the listeners of the podcast because, we all have a story and we don't always think that it's like, that big of a deal. We tend to downplay our stories. And you have one that I know you felt that way about. And so I really want to dive into like, you're now traveling all the time for like, you do it for work, but you really do it more on your terms. And it's just been a really fun thing to watch. So where did this transformation start? Like, what do you think was kind of the launching point of starting to look at your life differently?
So with traveling, when I was back home in Michigan, I had a coworker that I didn't even really know that well. And she because she was like newer to our unit, and she was like, hey, me and some of my friends are going to Ireland. Like, do you want to go? And used to be a very like type A. I have to think about it for a long time, like calculated person. And I was like, oh, maybe like give me the details. And so she like sent me the information. And that night she was like, we just purchased our flights. Like, this is the flight we're getting. So then in the morning, I bought the flight without knowing anything or thinking about it for not even 24 hours. And I bought the flight and then I literally just sat there and I was like, I don't know what just happened. Like, that's not me. So I went to Ireland and it was amazing. And like that was the first place I'd been besides like Mexico or Canada. And so like that really put the travel bug in me. And then I came back and I had just like some life things going on. And I was like, I had this like very strong urge. I was like, I need to leave Michigan. And I was like always the person that I was going to stay in Michigan my whole life. Like I was going to live there and grow up and get married and have kids and stay with my friends and family. And then I just had this thing inside me that was like, you got to go. And I was like, okay, so this is weird. But so I can travel for work because I'm in the healthcare industry. And so I signed up with an agency. It was like 6 months from when I started this to like when I actually started traveling. But I like kind of planned it out that way. I like had things going on that I was like, I'm going to do it in May. And like all my friends that I told were like, oh, okay, like didn't really believe me. And then it rolled around and then I like got a contract and signed it for Austin, Texas, which I like didn't really want to go to Texas. I didn't know much about Austin at the time. So I was just like, I don't really want to go here, but I guess we'll figure it out. And then I ended up loving it. But it was funny because when it rolled around, all my friends were like, wait, you're actually going to leave? And I was like, yeah, I'm going. Like, I got to go. And then now that's just kind of how it is. Like, I know if I have to stay somewhere or I know if I need to leave. Like, I get very strong feelings and I'm like, no, it's time to go. Gotta go. Move on.
Oh, and that's something I have like admired about you so much over like watching this unfold for you is that a couple of things. One is that you listen to that pull. And this is something that I think that we actually make life so much more difficult than it needs to be by not listening to to where we're being pulled or where we're being called because we're always trying to talk ourselves out of things, right?
Exactly. Big
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, it's fascinating. So let's like you said you had some personal things going on, and I hope that it's okay that we kind of dive into this because I do think this is actually a big part of your story because when was it that you actually were diagnosed? Like, okay, so first of all, how old are you?
I'm 33.
33. Okay. And when I think this is important because it's not like this is something that maybe we don't think is going to happen to us. Right. And I also think this is important just for awareness purposes is you ended up being diagnosed with thyroid cancer. So when did that happen?
I was 31. So and actually I was in Austin. So it was my first travel assignment and I was in Austin and I had been following someone on Instagram that talked about like functional med doctors. And that's kind of like how this all you want me to start telling the story or do you have more questions first?
No, I want you to start telling the story.
Okay. So I like looked into functional med doctors because I work in hospitals, like I work with doctors. So like medical is my life. And I'm a big believer of like, you should do things naturally before you take meds. Like I don't want to take meds if I don't have to. I think meds are highly overprescribed. And so I looked into a functional med doctor because what they are is they're a cross between holistic and modern or like old school doctors, I guess, and Eastern and Western. So they will take you the natural route until they can't, and then they will put you on meds if it's necessary. But they also try to get to the root of the problem where a lot of doctors, sadly, just kind of like give you things to cover up symptoms. They're like, oh, this is hurting, like here's that. And they don't actually try to figure out the root of the issue. So I went to a functional med doctor in Austin and they ran all the blood work that you could possibly run, like everything, vitamin deficiencies, all your normal labs, all of my thyroid labs, because the biggest thing is like, I kind of hadn't thought that I had a thyroid issue. And when I went to the doctor previously, so this is part of it, is I had went to my regular primary care doctor and he pulled one thyroid number and there's 5 that need to be pulled. So, but I didn't know this at the time. And when I went to the functional med doctor, they pulled 5 numbers. Well, the number that the other doctor had pulled years earlier was still normal. And I only had like 1 of my 5 labs that were off. And so she was like, okay, like I think you have Hashimoto's, but we're going to get an ultrasound just to be safe. And I was like, okay. So I go get a thyroid ultrasound and she calls and she was like, you have a high suspicion nodule and we want to biopsy it. Well, being medical, like I didn't even have to look it up. And I was just like, okay. And I like remember vividly, I was like standing in my kitchen, meal prepping, and I just like started crying. So I was like, I probably have cancer. Like, I mean, there's a chance it's not, but like, you know, so I went and got it biopsied by a thyroid surgeon. And he had told me kind of the same thing. He was like, they'll call and let you know. He's like, but if it's something else, I'll call you. And I was at work and I got a phone call. And so I saw the number and I was like, oh, I have a few minutes. I should answer this. And I answered the phone. And like, as soon as he said like, hey, this is Dr. Sabra, I just like knew, like, I like knew what he was about to say next. And he was like, and he did. And he was like, you have thyroid cancer. And I know like the premise behind the rest of the phone call, but I kind of just like stopped listening at that point. And I was like, I can't process anything else he's saying right now. But basically he was like, you know, we'll just remove it with surgery and you'll be fine. Like, gonna be okay. It's like very small, but we need to do some more biopsies, those kinds of things. So went in for more biopsies. They checked lymph nodes. Nothing else was affected. I had like one little small spot on the right side. So they only took half my thyroid. And then, yeah, I had surgery a month later. So it's really weird because like I only knowingly had cancer for like a month. And like, you know, people look at that and they're like, oh, but you're so healthy. I'm like, doesn't matter. Like, those things don't necessarily matter. But sometimes, like, with that, like, I still struggle because I'm like, oh, I only like knowingly had it for a month. And like, I had it, but I had it super easy. And so you get people that kind of like downplay that to you, and then you downplay it yourself because they're like, oh, well, you're easy. Like, that's the best cancer you can have. And like, your journey wasn't hard. And I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't mean I didn't have it. I didn't have struggles with it. So that's like,
man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much power behind like all the things you said. I mean, like that. I can't even imagine that moment, right? I feel like it's almost like a world stopping moment where you're like, oh my God, like I'm 33 or 31 and I just found out I have cancer.
Yeah.
Like I can imagine that's a really scary thing.
Say like I was at work and I couldn't break down. Like, I had to go take care of my own patient. Like, I legitimately had to get off the phone call and walk right back into a procedure because I'm in procedures, and I had to like shut that out because I had to like be present to take care of my own patient. So I couldn't even like process it. I had to like stop, and like the entire time, like thoughts would come into my head and I would start to like get tears. I'm like, can't do this right now. Like, you got to wait until you leave work. So it was even like, I had to like shove it down for a little bit because I had to go take care of other people.
Ooh, that's a life lesson right there, wouldn't we say? I mean, I'm not laughing because of the situation, because it's obviously like so hard. And that's like the reality of sometimes what we do. But this is something that we see with women constantly is they don't feel like they get to feel. Right? Because there's always someone else to be taken care of. There's always somebody else that has it harder than we have it. And so for anybody that's listening who has ever felt like that and pushed their own feelings aside, as Ashley will tell you, we can only do that for so long, right? And then that's where so many problems end up coming from, is because we push them down. But this is what I see with women. They push them down because they've gotten really good at it, but then they leave them down.
Yep.
Right? And we don't ever bring them back up because there's never a good time to deal with our emotions. Right?
Right. There's not. There's like, I don't have time to cry.
Yeah. Or I see a lot of women and they're like, and I used to do this too. Okay, I'm feeling this way. I'm going to let myself feel it for 5 minutes. And it's like, okay, well, that's not how we process through things. Like, we don't get to put a time limit. Sometimes it might take 5 minutes. Sometimes it might take 5 hours. Sometimes it might take 5 days. Like, we don't really know, but the only way to the other side of anything is through it. Right. And so I think it's really important that you brought that up, because look at your life, like for anybody who's listening, and like, how often are we putting our own feelings, emotions, and things aside and then not giving, it's okay. Like, I totally am very compassionate and understanding for the fact that like sometimes we have to look beyond ourselves, because it's like you really had no
Right.
other choice in that moment. But are you giving
Yeah.
yourself the space later? Right?
Right. Which I did. That night I cried. Like I finally like let it happen. But yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's just so interesting. And I think that something that I want to bring up too that I know is um that it's so because I used to be like this too. And, people look at people who, quote unquote, look like the epitome of health, right? Like, we're working out, we're doing all the things, we're eating right, we are probably overworking ourselves. We have you have the body that everybody wants. And then you're like, I'm going to let
Yep.
everybody on this podcast in on a little secret. We are the most fucked up. Like, we I can
Yep.
say that because I was that
Real life.
like Ashley and I will be very real with you. We are, because
Real
we're
life.
we're we're using those things to cover up something, right? And Ashley and I have talked before about the fact that like energetically things are going to manifest first, and then if we ignore them for long enough, they're going to show up physically. And you started to have signs. No, that's the wrong words. You knew there was something wrong with you for how long before you were actually diagnosed? Can you share that?
Years. Like I don't know how many years, but it was a couple years because I had gotten tested by my other doctor who only pulled TSH, which is like told me nothing because even when I had cancer, my TSH was still normal. I had that done probably like I want to say like maybe 2 to 3 years before I got diagnosed, but I knew there was something wrong. So I was just exhausted. Like it was to a point, like my job is very exhausting. I like with my schedule and what we do and being on call. Like, I mean, last night I was at the hospital until 8 p.m. and I worked 14 hours and I'm supposed to work 10. Like, just my job. And I know that, but like I shouldn't feel this exhausted all the time. And then I had a friend at the time who like also had thyroid issues and she was like, yeah, like some of these things that you're telling me, like that sounds like stuff that I deal with. And I'm like, yeah, well, I don't know. They said I was fine and I didn't know any better. So it was a couple years. Like I could have had the cancer then. I don't really know, but there was definitely something wrong with my thyroid at that because we are pretty sure that I do still have Hashimoto's also. So that's like a whole nother world.
Right, right. Well, and I'm bringing this up because how often in our culture, in our society, and I with my own things, which I'll talk about on the post show, um, we are told we're fine. We know,
Yeah.
we know that something is wrong, and we go to the doctor and they pull a couple tests and they come back and they say, you're fine. Like, how did that make you
Okay.
feel after, like, I mean, how did that make you feel during that journey?
Like I was crazy because I was like, well, maybe I'm just like working too hard or like working out too much, which of course I didn't come back on because why would I? And like I was just like, oh, okay, like I must be fine. Like the doctor said I'm fine. So, and like even being in the medical world, you like know, but like that's not my area. Like I don't know anything about those things. Like you want to talk cardiology to me, I got you all day, but like I don't necessarily know about like the thyroid things like that. But well, didn't now I do. But yeah, it just like makes you feel crazy. And you're like, okay, so these things that I'm feeling, like I know something's wrong, but I'm being told there is nothing wrong. Like that really messes with you because then that makes you learn not to trust yourself. Because I've always had the strong feelings. Like that's always been a part of me. And then like you don't listen to them because you're like, well, it must not be right because they said I'm fine.
Oh, like this is Ashley coming through with the life lessons here, right? Like it's interesting because it plays into some
Yeah.
place, right? Like it's going to play, like we're going to see it in one area of our life, but then start to look at how that impacts every other area of your life. And like when you go to, and this is nothing, I always like, I'm not against doctors, but it's a matter of like, when you go into a
Yeah.
doctor and you're told that you're fine, even though you know with everything in your being that like something is wrong, it is going to just completely disintegrate that trust. And as women, we
Yeah.
are taught not to trust ourselves from like a very young age. Like we do, like we're really taught that. So how do you think that played out in other areas of your life? Like that lack of trust and that like feeling like you were a nutball?
I mean, it played into a lot of things. Like, I think I didn't trust myself, like, to make to listen to those feelings, first of all. So the fact that I like actually listened to the urge that I needed to leave Michigan is shocking because I think I was just like, this can't be right. Like, I went back and forth with it for a while. I was like, no, like I can't, like I can't do that. That's like not someone I am. Like, I can't leave Michigan. Like, that's weird. So I think it played into a lot of things, and it played into even like relationships, like knowing that I was with someone that I knew I shouldn't be with, but I was like, well, but maybe it could be okay. Like, it'll be fine because it's fine, right? Like the doctors tell you. And I mean, I had to relearn all over again how to actually like trust myself and like listen to all of those urges, which I do now without even thinking. Sometimes I'm like, the other day it was my day off and I got coffee and my body was like, go sit by the water. So I did. And then it was really great. Like, there were really great things that came out of that. And it, even little things like that, like, you should listen, but it's hard to learn that like you need to listen to your body. And it's hard to learn that when you have like not trusted those choices before because you've been made to feel kind of crazy.
Mm. Do you feel like maybe this was something that the cancer was here to show you? Like it was almost here as a like I know this always sounds weird but like
Yeah.
almost a gift
Yeah.
to kind of smack you alongside the head and say you actually do know yourself and you can trust
Yeah.
yourself. Like do you feel like that may have been part of the why behind the mess that you had to go through?
Yeah, because when I finally like got, and that's the thing about that I really like about functional med doctors is like they listen to you and they don't think you're crazy. They're like, okay, there's something going on. Like, we will figure it out. And so, I was like, a lot of my other labs, like everything was great. And it was like just that. But, when we found it, like as much as it sucked that, like, oh, it's cancer and like that's what I have, it was like a relief because I was like, okay, I'm not crazy. Like, there is something happening. Like, oh, okay. And then it kind of made me mad that, you know, previously I was told like nothing was wrong. And I'm like, really? Like, you only pulled one number, which doesn't help me. But yeah, I think like that was part of it is like learning, that, oh, I can trust what I'm feeling and I actually do know my body. And it's a hard thing for, like you said, especially women, like they don't think they can do that after, because I didn't share my story for like 9 months after it happened. Like, I had surgery in December, and then it was like the next September when I shared my story. And I like had people that like started asking me questions. They're like, yeah, I think I have issues. Like, I think something's going on. And I'm like, these are what you need. Like, this is what you need to do. I'm like, you have to find someone that's going to listen to you because a lot of doctors don't, which is really sad because I work with doctors. Like, I don't have anything against them. Like, there's some really great doctors out there, but like, they don't always necessarily listen to you. So you got to
Yeah.
advocate for yourself.
Oh, so much so. And I just think the big thing to take away from that I'm taking away from that just as a reminder is that you are the only person that ever knows your heart, your soul, your body, you are the only one that is living your life. And so you're going to have to like, and I think what's cool about that too is when you start to live in that way, and you can tell me this, is when you start to live in that way and you start to trust again, it's like you realize that even if you make, like, I always say that there's no like right or wrong decision. It's just the decision that's best for you in the moment. But I think what's kind of cool about that is that you never have anybody else to, we can't blame it on anybody else, but so
Right.
it's kind of fun because you're just like, I mean, it was just the best decision for me in the moment. And it's either going to lead me to somewhere really, really beautiful, or it's going to lead me to a lesson. And I'm going to be like, oh shit, maybe should have thought about that one a little bit different.
Yeah. But then too, like sometimes like the lessons are what you need. And if you can realize that and you can take that out of it, then you're gonna gain a lot. Like there's a lot of things that I'm like, wow, that really sucked to go through. But in the end, it actually did a lot for me because it taught me like what I don't want or what I need, or one of the things that was really bad for me started the last, I don't know, week of transforming my life. So you just have to be able to like look at bad things that happen and figure out like what it's trying to tell you.
Yeah. And I think, we label things good and bad, but like at the end of the day, they're just things that happen, right? It's like we associate, we put a label on them, which makes them what they are. And so it's like you could look back on your cancer and say, it's the best thing that ever happened to me. Like it was actually a great thing, which is hard to put those words on it, but it's also like, it's the reality. So let me ask you this, because I have a feeling a lot of women are going to be like, okay, Ashley, this is great. Like that you learned to trust yourself. Please tell me how. Like, where should women start with this process? Because it's not an easy one.
No. I think the biggest thing is like, so most, I mean, some people get it different ways, but like most people will get feelings. Like mine is, I get gut feelings. Like mine, I get like very strong gut feelings. And I don't really know how to describe them, but like they'll be good or kind of bad, like depending on what I'm trying to figure out. But I had to learn to just start like following those feelings. They're there for a reason. Like your body will tell you what's going on. And I like looking back the past couple of years, like I've gotten them about everything. And it was just more of, did I listen or not? Because when I didn't listen, then things turned out like not great, or learning a lesson, which is still good. But, the times that I like fully listened without even hesitating, it turned out so well. Like when I was deciding if I was going to stay in Denver or come to Washington, and I didn't even hesitate. I knew the second I had my interview with Washington, I was like, I have to go. And I wanted to stay in Denver because I liked the city and I had my friends and things, but there was a lot I wasn't happy with there. And I was just like, I don't know, but I got to go. And everyone wants me to stay here, but I got to go. And I listened, and then things just like fell into place very easily. So
it is. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm like, you just have to learn to listen to those. Like you have those feelings for a reason. And even if it's just something small, like the other day when I took my coffee and sat by the water, like if your body gives you something little like that, just listen to it and like start like that. Like start small. It doesn't have to be you're going to go move across the country.
Ashley goes full in when she does things. No, but I think another thing that I've always admired about you that I think you do so well, and like I've been able to just watch it, it's been so fun, is that like Ashley truly makes decisions for her. Like it's not that you don't care about other people, or you don't care what other people think, but you're not going to care enough about what somebody else wants for you to overpower what is the best thing for you. Where do you think that kind of confidence came from?
I mean, that's like a newer thing, I feel like truly to be to the point where now I'm just like, I actually like, I mean, like you said, like, not that I don't care what people are, like, that are close to me, like friends or family, like, think or want for me, but like, I'm now at a point where I'm just like, I don't care. If it's not what I want to do, I'm not going to do it. And if it's what I want to do, I'm going to do it. And I'm not going to really like care that much about how that affects anyone but me. And that's like a newer thing. And I think it just came from like having the confidence in myself to begin with and listening to those gut feelings because I know that they're right. So when I follow them, I know it's going to turn out well. And I think it's just like, it came from all of the, like, I've grown a lot over the last like 10 months or so. And it's been like a lot of different areas that I've grown in, but it's just kind of been knowing who I am and what I want and what I need. And that's kind of where it comes from. Like, I know what I want out of life. And what I look at as success is like not what other people look at. Like, I don't want fancy cars or a house or things. Like, I want to hike and I want to travel. Like, those are my things. And like, that's all I want to do. And I don't care about anything else. So you just have to figure out like who you are, what you need, like, and that's kind of where you can start making those decisions where you're like, that's great. I love that you got that really nice car. Not for me. I'm not going to do that. Granted, I did just buy a really nice car, but I mean, it still wasn't that expensive. But yeah, I mean, you just kind of have to like know what you need and want, and that's how you make those decisions where you aren't going to let someone else make those decisions for you because you know that's not what you want or need.
Mm.
So it just comes from knowing. Like, you have to learn yourself, which takes a lot of effort. Which you know, and you've been there.
It does. It takes so much knowing yourself. And like, in full transparency, like, Ashley was part of Evolve Beyond Limits Academy, and she was already started on this journey. And it's just been so fun to watch you get that, like, have so much clarity around who you are. And even with the car, like, you bought the car for you, though. You didn't buy it to like show off to other people or to prove how great you were through a materialistic object. Right?
I did it because I didn't want to get stuck in the snow anymore.
It's amazing how long it takes us to do that. I remember the first time I bought my Jeep in Michigan, I was like, why have I been driving around in like a Saturn? Like, this makes zero sense when you live in Michigan. Yeah. So, this has been so good. And I know that people are going to just take so much from this. So let me ask you this, because it's a constant process, right? Like, and I think that I want to mention something really quick about timelines, because like, one, this journey never ends. Like, the learning about yourself, the transformation, the trusting, all of that. Like, and it's funny because Ashley and I have actually had this conversation often where she'll like, I'll get this like a text and it's like the best thing ever. And she's like, so this thing happened. And I realized that I didn't even have to think about it. It just like, I just acted as if like it was always the way that I would have done it. But in the past, I wouldn't have done it that way. Yeah. And I think that that's so fun because it shows that like, this is how this journey works. It's not like this big lightning bolt of like, oh, like I did this one thing and now I feel totally different about my life. Like, no, that's not how it works. But it happens more in like, you kept doing it and you kept doing it and it was hard for a little bit. And then all of a sudden you didn't have to think so much about it, which I think was so fun to see. But my whole point was back to the timeline. Everybody's timeline is going to look so different. But one thing I can tell you about Ashley is that she was intentional. Like, you were intentional about changing your life. Like, you were like, I am going to seek out help and mentors and things that I know that I need in order to transform my life. And I just like applaud you for that, because that's why things have happened so fast, is because you were so intentional. And like every time you had work to do, or like there was things to apply to your life, like you didn't just get knowledge, you literally turned it into wisdom by integrating it into your life. And that is something that I'm seeing so many people miss, is the integration. Like, we can't just learn it. We have to really live it. And you are a perfect example of living that. And it just is so fun.
Yeah. It's hard to do, but once you start doing it, like you said, like it just gets easier. And then you're like, oh, that makes sense. Like this is easier now. And like, even like, and it's all little things like, and even like things that you think are little actually really aren't. You're like, oh, this happened. Like, we would talk about it in EBLA and like, we would be like, oh, this happened. And we would think nothing of it. And you're like, that's a big deal. And we're like, oh, I guess it is. Like, yeah.
And as women, we do that so much. Like like you were saying, it's like we try to downplay because we've been taught to, I don't know if it's humbleness or what the hell it is really, but like we've been taught to downplay so many things that it was so funny. Like week after week, like women would come in, they'd be like, well, I just had this like tiny thing. I don't really think it's much. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like that was like this like mind boggling huge thing for you. So that it's so fun. So this leads us perfectly into my final question for you, which you're going to know what it is. But what is one lesson you feel like you're still in the middle of learning right now?
Oh, that's so hard. Still trusting myself in certain areas. Like some things I know where I'm like, yes, I know how to do this and I know how to trust this. But I think there's still certain things where I'm like, oh, do I trust myself there? Like, do I know I'm not going to make the same choices or like not great choices? And then you like kind of hesitate. And I think that's it. Like still learning that because that's like that's ongoing. But there's areas where I'm really good and I'm like, yeah, I know this part. And then there's areas where I'm like, I don't know about that.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing that because I think it's really important for anybody who's listening to realize that like just because we've got it under control in one area of our life does not mean that we aren't still struggling or moving through in other areas. And there's always going to be something to work on. And instead of like getting frustrated about it, it's almost just like we can turn it into a really fun game of, I wonder when I won't have to keep learning this lesson.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm in the middle of one right now and I'm just like, I keep like seeing it's the same thing. Like I keep seeing things where I'm like, oh, this isn't a big deal. And I'm like, oh, this is a big deal. And I'm like, oh, this is really good. I'm like making good choices in this area. And then like, I still doubt it. And I'm like, okay, is it though? Or like, I'll kind of try to find reasons for it to like not work. I'll be like, well, I don't know about this. And then like, cause you just get guarded sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we show up too. Like vulnerability isn't always the easiest thing. And you've grown so much in that area too. And I think it's just important it was funny. I was actually on a hike yesterday and we've been going through, like, I've been going through some things and I like asked the question because here's the thing. We have to ask the question to get the answer, right? And so this is like a big piece of, I think, any type of meditation or just like personal growth journey that people need to realize. We have to ask the question. We have to ask for help. Oh, hey, ladies, we got to ask for help in order to receive the help. And so I went into my hike and I was like, what am I missing? Because I'm feeling like, what is going on that I'm just not seeing, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, here it is. Like I'm so focused on the things that aren't going right. And maybe the people that I don't feel like I'm getting the support that I wish I was, that I'm forgetting about the fact that I'm standing in the middle of Sedona, like with all of these things. And I have so many amazing souls that are surrounding me and it's just like, that's a lesson. And I'm sharing this because that is a lesson that I'm like, am I ever going to stop learning this? Like to put like what I'm missing is all the good. And it was like, it's going to be really nice when one day I don't have to think, why am I still focusing on all the things that aren't quite going the way I want them to instead of focusing on all the right.
Yeah. And like, it's hard too because you're like, I have all these great things. And then sometimes it'll be something like really small or kind of stupid. And you're like, okay, why am I letting this affect me? Like, what? Okay, there's a reason. So then you figure out the reason. Never ending.
It's never ending. It really is. And that's why I shared that. And I'm glad that you shared yours too, because the big lessons that we're going to learn are going to come back time and time again until we figure it out. And maybe we don't. Like maybe this isn't the lifetime that we actually figure it out completely, right? Like we might need way more work in a different lifetime. Who the hell knows? But so don't get discouraged when things pop up, because it's just like, okay, it's still something we're working through, and that's 1,000% okay. So,
Yeah.
Ashley, if people want to connect with you, because I think that and I know for a fact that Ashley is open. If you've had symptoms, if you've ever had a doctor that doesn't listen, or if you're just curious about what are the thyroid tests that people maybe they should actually be asking for, anything, how can people connect with you?
Probably Instagram's the easiest. You can find my Instagram. We can write it out for them too, but it's just Ashley.Debro, Debro. And I'm gonna start sharing more about things like that too, like the thyroid and finding doctors that listen to you. Because I've had people reach out after I shared my story, and so I want to help more people. Mm-hmm. So just find me on Instagram, and if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them. And if I don't know, I will help figure it out for you. So I do have a lot of knowledge, working in the medical field too, but I'm pretty good at finding things.
Yes. Yeah, Ashley is really good at figuring things out. And she is truly one of the most genuine humans I have ever met, and had the pleasure of being a friend. And I can't thank you enough for coming on and just sharing your wisdom and being willing to share this story, because I know that it's going to touch people. And I can't wait to see what unfolds for you next. So thank you for being on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We are diving straight into the Evolve Beyond Limits post show. And Ashley and I kept chatting actually after the interview, and she said something that I want to touch on. What she said was, pay for it now, or you're going to have to pay for it later. And the reason that I'm bringing this up is because when we are dealing with something, it's so interesting to me that we don't feel like we are worth spending the money to get the answers that we are looking for. And so this is for anybody out there who is feeling stuck in their life. They feel like they're settling somewhere. They feel like they don't have, they aren't living fully. They feel like there's something wrong with them. They're living in pain. Gosh, I could just keep going on and on and on. Is that we have to be willing to invest in the fact that we deserve to feel good. You listening deserve to feel good. And often we won't spend the money because here's the thing. A good friend of mine always says this: money is a renewable resource. Time is not. And we are always so afraid to spend money, but that's not because we don't actually have it. It's because we will find something else to spend it on that we think deserves that money more than us. I want you to think about that for a second. Is that patio that you're building, or that, whatever you happen to be spending money on right now, is that actually more deserving than you? We think so. And that's why I'm bringing this up, because it's not. You deserve to feel good about your life, about the body that you're in, about all the things. We are here to thrive. And if we're not thriving, then we have to be willing to invest to finding some answers. And a lot of this does come with being an advocate of your own health and your own life. And I will share my story about this, because if you're new to this, is I went off of birth control, oh my gosh, probably when I was 29. And because I knew that what it was doing to my body, and I just didn't want to do that any longer. And I actually, after 3 months, I still knew that something was off, because I still hadn't gotten a period back. And I was like, man, what's going on? And I went to a doctor, and I specifically told her, do not try to give me medication because our bodies will tell us everything that we need to know. And they have an amazing ability to heal themselves, but we have to give it a chance sometimes. And what's the first thing they said to me when I went in there was, well, if it goes another couple months, we can give you this pill and it will, these synthetic hormones and it'll spark your period. And I was like, no, like, gosh darn it, I asked you not to do that. Right. And then I went to a different doctor and I had him pull tests and I was like, please do not call me and tell me that everything is normal because like, I'm going to need you to look a little bit deeper because clearly something is wrong. Like this is now 6 months later. And I got a phone call from the assistant that said, hey, your lab work came back. Everything's normal. And I'm like, okay. And I know some people who are listening have been through this. And this is what Ashley went through is that you start to think you're a wackadoo. You start to think that clearly there's nothing wrong with you because everybody else is telling me that there's nothing wrong with me. And that is just such a pivotal piece of just another thing, like just added on top of the pile of not trusting yourself, right? And not trusting your own body. So I finally dished out the money to go to a functional medicine doctor. And I also started doing so much research myself. And I really, it took a while, but I also invested into coaches, into different things to help me work on this holistic approach to my health. And yeah, I spent some money, but guess what? Like, took a while, but 18 months after I stopped taking birth control, I actually got my period back. And I was finally sitting in a place where I was healthy. My body was healthy again. And I paid for it. I paid for it financially. I paid for it with time. I paid for it with energy. But I knew I was worth it and I deserved to feel good. And I also knew that what my body was capable of and that I wasn't crazy, that there had to be a way to move through this. And so I didn't try to do it alone. I had a team, right? And I think that that's just such an important piece. And so I'm telling you that story because you know yourself. And if you think something is wrong, you have to be the advocate for your own health because nobody else is going to. So if you are like you don't marry your doctor. Very funny to me. Some people are just like, they're like, well, they've been my doctor forever. Like, who cares? It's time to switch, right? Because they're not helping you. So, but you do have to be an advocate for your own health. And just like Ashley was saying, this is an advocate for your health. And when I say health, I am talking your mental health, your emotional health, your physical health, and your spiritual health. You have to be an advocate and only you knows when something is off or something is out of whack. And if that's the case, you have to trust that and you have to move forward and be willing to invest the money into it. Because if you just keep ignoring it or you just keep not doing it because you don't think that you are worthy of feeling good, then you're going to pay for it later. So all of that to end this podcast with, what are some areas in your health, mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, that you have been avoiding, that maybe it's time to invest the time, the energy, and the money into? And if you haven't done so already, what is stopping you? And what is really stopping you? Because it's probably actually not the money underneath it all. So I'm going to leave you with those things to ponder this week. And I just want to thank you so much for being here, for taking the time to listen to this podcast. It means the world. And if there is somebody who you're thinking of that pops into your mind as you're listening to this, please send it to them because they have no other way of getting this information unless somebody brings it to their attention. So we would love for you to share the podcast, to rate and review it if you haven't done so yet. And again, it means the world. And thank you for being here and enjoy the rest of your week. And until the next episode, keep evolving.